What if the thing holding you back was never your boss, your industry, or your timing? What if it was you? Welcome back to the Ceiling Podcast. I'm Ashar Saleem. I spent years leading projects for some of the biggest names in the retail and tech. And along the way, I kept noticing the same thing. The most capable people in the room were almost never the most visible ones. And the ceiling above them was invisible. That was built quietly, brick by brick, usually by their own hands. I wrote the book about it, and now I sit down with real people who broke theirs. Today's guest is someone special. I actually known her since she was a kid, and here's what makes her story worth your next 40 minutes. She was a customer service coordinator when the world shut down in 2020. Instead of waiting for things to go back to normal, she went back to school full time while working full time while raising a young family. Nobody in that classroom had more stacked against them than she did. And she walked out with her degree anyway. And when I asked her what was really holding her back all those years, her answer stopped me. She said, me, myself, and I. That's the conversation we're having today. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Ceiling Podcast, Rabia Wahid.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure to have you as a guest. Your friends describe you as the person you rarely says no, always down for a good time. So here's my first real question. For years, who were you saying no to without realizing it?
To myself, really. Because I wasn't doing what I should have been doing, putting myself first. I was just going with the flow, whatever was easy, working. I was just essentially content, quote unquote, with how work was going. I had small kids, so I was just like, just gotta keep on going. It is what it is at that point.
So you were just going with the flow at that moment.
Yeah, just going with the flow. My dad always used to tell me, when you go back to school? When you go back to school? And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go. But I just never, I was never committed to doing something or pushing myself even harder than when I had kids and COVID did hit. And I was like, okay, time to do something different. I have two little boys that depend on me, so I need to kind of make some moves.
That's an amazing journey, actually, when you started that. Inspiration for young women, especially out there who are just struggling on daily basis and just, as you know, like we all come up with different kind of excuses, but you did the opposite. Instead of making excuses, you just got it started and look where you are right now.
Absolutely. Thankfully, yeah. I mean, the excuses were there in the beginning. It wasn't easy. But yeah, I just, I had to do it. When life throws you lemons, you make lemonade, right? So essentially that's what I
Absolutely.
did. I had two little boys. I needed to do something that could get me to where I want to be in order to, take care of them the way I want to take care of them. So, and that first step was going to school.
Amazing, amazing. You told me you were content where you were. I want to challenge that word. Were you content or were you comfortable? Because those are two different ceilings.
I guess you can say I was comfortable. Maybe not content, but just more comfortable. We get comfortable in doing the same thing over and over again, and it's what we know, and we're just afraid to step out of the box. And essentially, I was afraid for the longest time. I'm just like, okay, it is, let me just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm making decent amount of money. It's not what I could be doing, but, I also tried many times I applied for management many times, and I always went to the interviews and I never got selected. But it's okay. It's maybe a blessing in disguise. Who knows? I was very comfortable at that point when they kept denying me that managerial position. I was like, okay, let me just abide my time until I can retire or until something better comes along.
All right. So you were comfortable, but deep down inside, you always knew that you are much more capable than what you're doing at that point. Is that the correct statement?
Yes, absolutely. I knew I could do more. I knew I was capable of more. I wanted to do more. I wanted that challenge. I'm the type of person that wants to know all areas of the operation. And since I was with I work with American Airlines. And so I want to know every department. I've worked in a lot of different departments of customer care, but I wanted to know like the managerial side of it and see how things are on that side of it too.
That's good. That's good. When COVID grounded the airlines, everyone around you was waiting for normal to come back. What was the exact moment you realized waiting was the problem?
Well, every day we had less and less flights, less and less passengers. So I remember one of my flights, I probably worked one flight the entire 8-hour shift, and I maybe had one passenger on there, maybe two at most. And I realized that because it lasted so long, I knew that I know the airlines won't completely ever go away because people rely on that so much, but I also knew that they can shift a lot, right? They can they do a lot of mergers with different airlines, and with that comes layoffs and things like that. So then at that moment, I was like, you know what? I need to go back to school and I need to do something that if another COVID did happen, if the world did shut down again, what's something that will continue to go no matter what, will continue to run? And that was for me at the time was healthcare. So I was like, okay, I want to go something along the healthcare route, something because people are always going to need healthcare for various reasons. So that's why I did public health as my major.
Okay, that's very insightful and very smart of you to thinking what's not going to change. Like Jeff Bezos always says this that we always look for something new, right? But no one looks at what's never going to change. People always want free shipping. People want always healthcare. They always want their car to be fixed. There are always going to be demand for that. So there's certain things which are never going to change. And you caught that right as well. That's really insightful. Thank you. You said the real problem was me, myself, and I. Take me back before the customer service coordination years. Where do you think that belief first got installed? Who or what taught you to settle?
I wouldn't necessarily say that something or someone taught me to settle. It was, again, as we said earlier, it was just what I got comfortable with. Right out of high school, I had applied to different colleges and I had gotten into UNC Charlotte for the spring semester and not the fall. And so when I had essentially fall semester to do nothing, I decided to pick up work. And that's when I started with American Airlines. And well, it was US Airways at the time. Now it's American. And I fell in love with the industry because I was, traveling and I was able to travel. My family was able to travel. And so at that point, I realized that, okay, well, maybe I can go to school somewhere else and I don't have to go to UNC Charlotte. I was living in Raleigh at the time, and Charlotte is about 3 hours away from Raleigh. So that would have meant that I would have to leave um my leave home, obviously, and my parents weren't too thrilled about that, but and also during that time when I was working with US Airways back then, my dad had gotten sick and he was in Philadelphia. He had gotten sick. That's when he had a quadruple bypass surgery up in Philadelphia. And so we were essentially like everyone had to run to Philly. And, obviously the surgery happened so fast and my dad didn't even have a place to stay there. And he was in a hotel. And so when we got up there, we had to quickly make sure to get them a place. So anyways, there was a bunch of things that came into play that prevented me from actually starting at UNC Charlotte in the spring. And one of them was because my dad had gotten sick. And so he was up there. But I was traveling back and forth from Raleigh to Philadelphia. And I actually decided to take classes at a community college in Philadelphia. And so I did that for about 2 semesters. So about a year I did that. And then during that whole time is when I was just taking classes from then on. And that was back in 2006. So that was almost 20 years ago where I was taking classes off and on wherever I moved around a lot. So wherever I went, I was taking classes. So it wasn't necessarily something or someone. You could just say me. I held myself back for not finishing. And there was many times when I was like, oh, and I kept changing my major also. At first I was like, I want to go into teaching. Then I wanted to do nursing, and it was back and forth, back and forth. And so long story short, it was me holding myself back from from doing essentially anything better or pushing myself to become better.
And you did recognize it and you got the best out of it. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
So, you were working full time with full time school, two little boys at home. Walk me through your hardest single week. I don't want the highlight reel, the week where you almost quit.
So, that was actually when I was pregnant with my second. It was probably my second semester back at school, and I went to UNC Charlotte. So it was kind of like a full circle moment there. But I was in class and I wasn't in one of my classes. I had a C in my class, and my teacher, we didn't have a lot of assignments. So I was like, okay, I don't know. My grades not looking too good. I was like, I don't want to complete my schooling with a C, or like, anything lower than like an A was my goal. A B was fine, but my goal was A, of course. And so I had a C in that class, and I was talking to my friends that I had met, and they were, again, same older adult students who decided to go back. And one of my friends, I was contemplating dropping my classes then. I was literally thinking about it. I was pregnant at the time, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I had my one son at home. And one of my friends are like, what are you going to do? Are you going to quit right now, drop your classes, and then start back over next semester and be in the same position you're in right now with the same class, the same teacher? Or are you just going to power through it? We'll help each other and we can continue, and, we'll go from there. And I thought about what he had said, and I was like, he's absolutely right. What if I drop my classes now, I'm going to essentially take this semester off, be another semester behind, and start all over on the following semester. And again, same situation, same teacher, same class, and I'll be still struggling at that point. So that was like one of my hardest moments, that where I felt like quitting. And then also same when I had my second baby, I went back to class a week later after I had him, and that was also very hard, obviously leaving him at home, and then just, still trying to heal myself, and I'm back walking across campus trying to get my education. So that was also hard. And one day I also took him to class with me. He was maybe 2 weeks old, and I took him to class with me because I didn't have anyone, and he's my baby. I didn't want to leave him. Like, even though my mother-in-law was here to help with watching him, I didn't want to leave him. So I was like, I'm taking him to class today, and my teachers were all, very understanding, and so they were okay with it, and he slept through class most of the time. But just, those little challenges just made me sometimes want to quit. And my oldest he's a mama's boy, so he always hates when I leave the house. So that was also very challenging, because he would cry bloody murder sometimes when I would leave. And so just things like that made it hard. But I knew at the end of the day that I was doing this for them. Obviously for myself, but also for them. Like, everything I'm doing now is essentially going to give them a better future, and remind them that, hey, look, I did it at, 38 years old. They can do it too.
That's fair. I just want to tell my audience to start taking notes, because this is what real courage looks like. So I can say you were one of the adults in your class. What did the voice in your head say on day one? And what do you say back to the voice now?
Day one, I was like, what are you doing? Why are you even here? And, walk into a classroom as like an adult student, who's working and essentially you already have those responsibilities. And looking at these young kids who don't have no responsibilities, they just come to school, live on campus, attend all the events, and everything is great. Mom and dad is there. But when I still say the same thing. Like, I mean, yeah, I did what I did. I'm proud of myself for completing it because like I said, there was many days when I was like, oh, I don't know if I can continue this. I'm tired, the kids, I'm not studying. I'm up late night studying. So I'm I'm very proud of myself for completing. It was a long time coming and I just want to be that, cheerleader for others saying you can do this, don't give up, keep trying. It's hard. Everything is hard. Nothing comes easy and if you just keep on going, you will you will get to where you want to be.
And how much do you think the support from the family and friends are required when you are going through these kind of circumstances?
A lot, 100%. Honestly, I probably couldn't do it without the support of family, and my friends. Family, of course, my parents used to pick up the kids from school I had classes either Mondays, depending on which semester, like Monday to Thursday, essentially. So depending on, what day it was, my parents would pick up the boys for me from their daycare. And then they would bring them home and then my husband gets off of work and then he takes care of them, from then until I get home. And then we get home, feed them whatever, get them ready for bed, put them to sleep, and then he kind of lays down with them so I can do homework. So without that support, without them being my cheerleader, it probably wouldn't have I wouldn't probably wouldn't have completed it because again, it truly takes a village to complete everything. And especially when you have small kids and I was working full time, it was very hard. Like there's many times when I took my laptop to work and in between my breaks, I'm literally studying, doing my homework, trying to complete whatever I can. That way, when I get home, I can use that time with my kids instead of trying to do my homework.
That's amazing. So, with all of your experiences, let's just put it this way. If someone is still have excuses and someone says, hey, I don't have time, I'm too busy, I'm waiting for the perfect moment, I want all the stars to be aligned, and then I'm going to do something, what's the message you want to give to that kind of person?
Just tell them that I, to this day, say I still don't have time to do anything. I have two side businesses, but um, during that period in time, most of the time, I was like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. But you have to make time for the things that are important to you and what you want to do. I always tell my sisters, go back to school, go back to school. You can do it one class at a time. All it takes is you just need to get your foot in the door, start with that one thing, that one class, that one, certification, whatever it may be. And once you get your momentum going with that first class, that first certification, that first anything, then it kind of gives you that motivation to, hey, I can do this. I can take more. Like the entire time I was in school, I went to school full time. I took full time classes, while working full time. That was like almost sometimes 5 classes a semester. And
Wow.
it was a lot, dealing with my kids are crazy. So dealing with them and then just life, you know, things happen in life and you're working and you want to be able to go out with your friends and see family, take trips and it was very hard being able to do all of that. But I knew once I was done with this that we could take that stuff could resume. It's a small sacrifice you have to make in the beginning, but it's definitely worth it, if that's what you truly want.
That's fascinating. That's amazing. Here's a question every mom listening wants to ask you. How do you chase your own growth while your kids are at home and you're missing them tremendously? Just looking for an honest intake on that.
I have to start out and say the mom guilt is very real. There was one time where the baby he was maybe a couple months old. He was sleeping in the crib and I had the lights off and I was taking an exam, and it was lockdown browser, which they had the camera and everything on. And he started crying while I was taking this exam. It was timed. And I was like, what am I going to do? Am I going to leave him, let him cry and leave my exam? Or do I just go get him real quick? So I went and got him, and I held him while I finished my exam, and I emailed my professor right after, and I said, I'm so sorry, but the baby started crying. You can see him. You can see me holding him. I wasn't like trying to cheat or anything, but I was like, you can see me holding him while I finished my exam. So just to kind of go back to your question, it's very hard. Again, it's a little sacrifice, a small sacrifice. When you do see them after your class and you do get to spend time with them, you just kind of have to give them your undivided attention at that time. Show them that love and, that, hey, you're still my priority, even though I went to work and I went to class, but you're still my priority at the end of the day. And you still have to show them that love and care that the kids yearn for. But definitely the mom guilt is definitely real. I carry that every single day, but I'm doing all of this. I did all of this for them, for a better future for them. So small sacrifices will hopefully equal to greater reward.
Absolutely. And I wish nothing but well to you and your family,
Thank
because
you.
it's amazing that what you have done in the past in order to make your future better, especially for your kids. And being away, of course, it's really, really tough, especially for moms. But at the end of the day, as you mentioned, that you're trying to make their future secure and better by working hard right now and setting up an example for them. Hey, if I can do it, you can also do that as well.
Absolutely. That's the plan.
Your message to your old self was, keep going, you can do it. But old you was tired, comfortable, and surrounded by reasons to stay put. What would you say if I give you a time machine, you can go back in time? The person listening right now who is exactly where you were in 2020. What is the message you want to send to yourself back in 2020 if you have to restart again?
I would essentially say you're going to be tired. You're going to get comfortable. You're going to have mom guilt. You're going to have all these excuses that are going to block you or stop you from continuing. But if you want a better future for yourself, for your kids, for your future family, then you have to continue. You have to keep pushing through. Nothing is ever going to be handed to you on a silver platter. You have to work for everything you want, and things will happen in life that will question that. But each small hardship, each small trial helps you become a better you into achieving your goals.
Amazing, amazing. But thank you so much, Rabia, for being on my podcast this evening. You are really an inspiration for this generation and many more to come. And I'm 100% sure that you are going to be as successful as you want to be. Because as per my understanding, when you put your mind to something, which you did, you can achieve anything.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, my pleasure. So that was her. And I want to talk about one thing she said, because I think it's important. I asked her what was holding her back for all those years. And she didn't blame the airline, she didn't blame COVID, or her schedule, or her kids, or the timing. She looked at me and said, me, myself, and I. Here's what I want you to sit with. For years, she had a reason, a good one. The airline was unstable, the world was upside down, everybody was just trying to survive. All of that was true, but true isn't the same as real. The real reason was, it was a belief that said, this is fine, stay where you are, you're content. And she believed it right up until the day she didn't. That's the thing about the ceiling above your head. It's almost never made of your circumstances. It's made of the story you tell yourself about your circumstances. An excuse is just a ceiling, nothing else. And the part that gets me, she didn't fix it with some dramatic leap. She signed up for one class, That's it. One small thing while everyone around her was waiting for the world to hand them permission. So let me turn this around on you. Whatever you're calling timing right now, or stability, or I'm just content, I want you to be honest with yourself tonight. Is that the truth? You already know the answer. You have known it for a while. I see you. And together we can fix it.